I think in somewhere around 1870s, he actually had the audacity to actually suggest the kind of pace of innovation which was unthinkable then and is bizarre even today, because we know how long it takes to innovate, and if someone talks about innovation every 10 days and a breakthrough every 6 months, it's actually quite strange. Not only did he have the audacity, but he delivered on that. And I think what is most surprising, and very surprising for me when I actually found out, is that he did not really discover or invent the light bulb. The incandescent bulb was actually around for many years before he invented it. And in fact, story has it that there was a bulb I think it was a platinum filament incandescent bulb, which was hanging in his laboratory in Menlo Park when he invented the incandescent bulb. I'm not saying this to take anything away from the man, because like I said, what he did, Menlo Park is actually the first dedicated R&D facility that we can actually think about, and it has showed industry the power of structured and organized innovation. How exactly did he go about creating this innovation? What did they do? If you think of Edison, if I think of Edison, he comes across as this magician who would conjure up the future out of absolutely nothing. But the fact of the matter is, he and his muckers, that's the team at Menlo Park, what they actually did was built the future based on the best pieces of the past that they could actually find. It was always about looking at the past and re-putting it into a new context, which allowed them to innovate so prolifically. Andrew Hagden, I think, in a book called How Breakthrough Happens, has described this beautifully as technology brokering. So what exactly is technology brokering? Technology brokering is, it allows us to actually bring disparate technologies that exist in different industries together in an innovative way to solve a problem and create something new. Okay, that essentially is what Edison did, and that I think is fundamentally number one in the anatomy of an idea. This is a good example of what happens today. This was in the early 90s, I think, when Design Continuum worked with Reebok to challenge the Nike Air. And what they did was exactly the same thing, technology brokering. They used their past experiences in, they designed splints, I think, for inflatable splints for some orthopedic company. They had worked on some squirt guns, and they'd worked on with a company that made disposable IV bags. And they brought all of that together to create, at a very low cost and very, very fast, to create an innovation which actually became $1 billion product in the span of 1 year. So what actually technology brokering did for them, as it did for Edison, is reduce the risk of innovation because it built on fundamental acceptable technologies, and it allowed them to get to market really fast. Closer to home, it's something we did, and we are the diabetic capital of the world, and this bit is a little social maybe, but all these very large pharma companies hold many patents that surround drug delivery, and we were called in by Wockhardt to work on an insulin delivery device when they were launching Vozolin. And what actually helped us there was the fact that the micrometer screw gauge, we managed to actually tap into that and pull out whatever we could from something, object that's been around for donkey's years, and design a new delivery device that circumvented dozens of patents, created IP of our own, and actually can be manufactured at 1/10 of the price that you can source this product at, because it doesn't require the high-tech manufacturing facilities of which are available abroad. So, to reiterate the first part, I think the skill of technology brokering is one of the key factors in creating successful innovation. Moving forward, and I know this is a very, very rudimentary design process, and Ranjan, I remember, taught me design process when I was a student, and he's possibly going to kill me for it. But I've just tried to, and I think our friend there talked about a lot more than design, getting into making a product commercially successful. So we kind of end where the kind of visible blue line is as designers. We generate ideas, and that part is the fuzzy right brain end of innovation. It's messy, and though there is an underlying process, I think we have to deviate very, very often, because processes don't necessarily get you where you intend. If you look at the second half of it, or actually the latter two-thirds of it, which takes an idea to commercialization, it requires a completely different, completely diverse mindset. We are very used to ambiguity there. And here you're supposed to have a focused and very regimental approach to be able to pull that idea right through to its commercial and profitable implementation. And actually, the teams that do this well are the teams that can actually get innovation to the market. If you just stick at products and stick at ideas and stick at concepts, you're somewhere there. You're never going to get here. Yeah? So to get here, you need two different diverse mindsets. They're very rarely found in one single company. We're struggling. We work with many clients, and it's hard to find them in one single company. Forget one single individual, or there was Steve Jobs. But it's extremely difficult to balance the ambiguity and the regimental approach that is needed. And therein lies the second anatomy of an idea, which is critical, which is basically culture management. Being able to straddle cultures, which are at the fuzzy end and the righteous end of commercialization. Being able to do that effectively, being able to pass the baton over smoothly, is something that I think we need to learn, and it's not very easy. So that's two. And I think P&G as a company, I don't know how long it's been around, but I'm guessing it's over 100 years. And they, a very regimental company, very successful company. But they have actually, over the last, I think 12 or 14 years, they've realized that they need to integrate with the fuzzy end more. And they have programs like Connect and Develop, which actually connects with an outside community of innovators and helps them straddle what they don't have internally. And you also have new models like Kickstarter, which is trying to do maybe part of what a VC would do, which connect the innovator and the innovation to the market in a very initial way and give you early success. So you have interesting things that are happening. Let's see how far they go. Which brings us to the third. This is a network. Yeah, and all products or services that we interact with them through networks, be they distribution, sales, R&D. You have service networks. You have that's how customers actually interact with products and services. And each product and service actually builds a set of networks around itself. Innovation, and truly great innovation, actually demands that these networks get broken down and reorganized. And sometimes a truly great innovation can make a complete set of networks obsolete. Take, for example, the mobile phone, what it's doing to India. It's gone crazy here. And what has it done to our landline connections laid by generations of Indians and guarded? I remember it took us 8 years to get my first phone at home. It's archaic. Yeah? You take testing, laboratory testing that we do for sugar at home. And my mother does it all the time. And that requires a different network of people. It requires a different a system of checks to see that the right unexpired strips are available. It requires, so innovation in itself cannot survive without these networks. And this actually is the third and possibly the most difficult part of a successful innovation, and that is creating a network. It is, in my mind, very difficult to control because it's a completely outside phenomenon. And to reiterate, if I was to look at the three things together, there's technology brokering, culture management, and network. Technology brokering is a skill. It's a skill that we can practice and perfect. Culture management is a micro environment that we can control and represents the second challenge. And the network creation is actually a macro environment which we have very little control over, and we can only hope that things actually fall in place. But without all three of them coming in, breakthrough innovation or large-scale innovation is not going to be easy to achieve. Thank you.